And we're level at 4-4 now. And sudden death continues. And it's our man's Pedersen's with the next one for Riga. First Liga with his old club Skonto, and it's saved by Gary Rogers. Rogers has produced another save for Dundalk, and again Dundalk are on the verge. He's been inspired in this shootout, Gary Rogers. Dundalk could have asked no more of the man, and it's Sean Hall, for my money, man of the match here this evening. How fitting if he's the player to send Dundalk into the next round. Sean Hall, and he scored, and Dundalk are through. The Lily White celebrates. Dundalk celebrates. The League of Ireland celebrates. Dundalk are in the second qualifying round, and their European adventure continues in the Champions League. And Sean Hall is being besieged by teammates and officials, and Dundalk supporters celebrate wildly.
Yeah, they certainly did. Great stuff from Adrian Taff on commentary for LMFM in Riga last night. And what was a brilliant night for Dundalk as they beat the Latvian side 5-4 on penalties after a scoreless but dramatic Champions League qualifier. The Electricity League champions now go on to play Karabag of Azerbaijan in the second qualifying round next week. Dundalk manager Vinny Perth has been good enough to take a call. Congrats, Vinny. Smashing result.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was obviously, I think it was a good night for Irish football. These Champions League games are maybe playing against teams from nations like Riga are probably taken for granted a little bit. But no, it was a difficult tie, and I think it was a good night for Irish football that, again, we continue to be represented in the Champions League for at least another round.
Yeah, we'll get into the ramifications and the prize money and what it means to Dundalk going forward. But just on last night and the penalty shootout following the scoreless draw in a game and over the two legs, a tie, I don't think there's any question yet you deserve to win. With all that and missed chances and maybe just not being clinical enough in the final third, what were your emotions like during the penalty shootout?
Yeah, it's hard to explain. You go through different cycles of highs and lows, obviously in penalty shootouts. You know, a lot of stuff goes through your mind in terms of if we lose, you know, what's the repercussions personally, you know, what criticism going to come your way. All them little silly things do come through your mind a little bit, but and then you've got the highs where, you know, I thought it was set up for Georgie Kelly to get the winning penalty and it didn't happen, and it ended up being Sean Hoare. So it's a huge mixture of emotions that come your way, and you know, all highs and lows. And I don't remember being part of a penalty shootout of real note before, so it was a first, and certainly rather we done it the easier way, and I think we deserve to do it the easier way, and probably need a bit more clinical. But at the same time, they made it extremely difficult for us to 6'3" number 6 is playing in front of a very well drilled back four, so we had to be patient. And I did say, and sometimes I'm accused of being too honest, but in interviews, but I did say it'll go to the very depth this game. I felt it would because it's just how dogged they were as a team and how difficult they had to break down, and ultimately that's the way it played out.
From listening to your post-match interviews, it did seem as though you were quite emotional at full time, and obviously a win that meant so much to you personally. And interesting now when you talk about the repercussions and what will be said if Dundalk were to lose on a penalty shootout. And I guess the name of Stephen Kenny still looms large around Dundalk and the League of Ireland football and what ye achieved as a team over the last few years. Is that something you're still very aware of, that you're trying to set your own path, and nights like that are so important for your own legacy?
Well, I suppose to answer that, there's a couple of questions in the middle of all that. Is that, yeah, personally, myself, the management team that's in place now, we probably were ridiculed a little bit at the start of the season, and in terms of what we're doing and how we had structured what we were doing. So we certainly felt probably a little bit of pressure before the game. Personally, it wasn't from the club; it was our own sort of personal drive and hunger, I suppose. And you know, I was very mindful of that from a personal point of view. I met the owner of the club of Peak Six, who's very, very sort of big businessman, and I met him last week with the rest of the staff, and he just left us very confident that, you know, this game wasn't in any way, shape or form going to decide anything.
Right.
So there was no fear in that sense, but the fear was a personal one. It was a personal drive to succeed. I would take a lot of personal pride of what went on over the last 6 years in Europe. And I suppose, in some senses, last night vindicated that I obviously had a small part to play in what we've done over the last 6 years as well. So that was it, really. So it was more that than anything else. And also, the group of players we have are very driven, and they want to be successful in Europe, or at least compete in Europe. So, there was some pressure internally just to get through that game, but certainly nothing other than internal pressures,
How have you found those internal pressures? Because I guess, have you found it a dramatic change from being the assistant, from being the coach, to being the main man?
Yeah, it is different. There's no doubt it's different. A lot of stuff falls, the decisions are obviously, we make them together. We've always done that. I've always been heavily involved with decisions Stephen would have made previously. I've made some calls and he backed me on them over the years. Some have worked, some have not worked out. So that's part of sort of being part of a setup. Generally, sort of one man takes, a lot of the plaudits when stuff goes well. But to be fair to Stephen, he was always very, he would always speak of his staff in a lot of interviews and mention them. And I suppose the answer to that is a difficult one. But it is personal. It is a bit more real to yourself, and you do take it. You do take, when things don't go well. You definitely take them on the chin more than you would as an assistant. There's no doubt about that.
It was a momentous night in many ways. Gary Rogers, his 41st appearance in Europe, he equalled Ollie Cahill's record for a League of Ireland player, and he was the hero of the hour as well. 37 years of age, one of the greats, I think, we're going to talk about, of the League of Ireland when he retires.
Yeah, and I suppose what Gary's doing at the moment is probably very typical of what we do at Dundalk over the last number of years. I mean, it would have been a 2-hour session yesterday on penalties and penalty between the staff. I would have sort of not forced, but I would have insisted on that happening yesterday afternoon. And then Gary was brought into that meeting with the other goalkeepers, Steve Williams, David Maguire, and we were watching penalties from maybe 6 years ago from a player, and so Gary was well informed. He was really prepared for that penalty shootout. But then, that's all well and good, having that preparation and being really ready. The level of fitness that Gary has at the moment, he's fitter now than he ever was in his career. And again, that's down to the structures, I think, in the club, and obviously his own personal drive. So all them combinate in a player who has a chance at the highest level. And to be fair to Gary, it was a standing goalkeeper. And in the night in general, he was just so assured. He didn't have to make big saves, but I think a sign of a good goalkeeper. Some people talk about the best keepers in your own league or other leagues are the ones who make loads of saves, but Gary isn't generally going to be making loads of saves for us because we're quite dominant, but he done all his normal goalkeeping stuff so well, and then he capped it all off with just being brilliant in the penalty shootout, and obviously we've got the rewards for it. So it's a brilliant night for him, equaling Ollie's record, and knowing that now he's going to break that record over the next couple of weeks is it's marvellous for someone who's worked so hard in the game, and at 37 he continues to work that hard.
That level of preparation that you can go into for a couple of hours yesterday on penalty kicks from Riga, going back years and years and looking at all the statistics, is that coming from the resources that are available due to the prize money that Dundalk have earned over the last few years? Is that where you're choosing to invest in the statistics, that you can go that little bit deeper than maybe a lot of clubs can go right now?
Well, look, I mean, I won't speak about other clubs, but that could be something that's level at Dundalk, because you can spend this or spend that. We done it in 2016 when none of our staff were full time, and we've done similar levels. We're probably a little bit more detailed now than we were in 2016, with the help of the owners of the club, and Mike Tracy, our chairman, would be very, very statistics driven. So we're probably a little bit more detailed, but we done it in 2016, and I was holding down a full-time job back then. So I just think, leaving no stone unturned is what you must do. Whether you're
do you
at
love
a
the stats side of it?
Club like Dundalk or anybody else playing League of Ireland, I just don't think that can be an excuse. So nowadays the information is there. Just go and get it, and that's bottom line. Is just work hard.
Yeah, I was going to say that I know you mentioned before about Instats that you spend a lot of time looking at them. Is that just a personal passion that you love the statistical side of the game?
Yeah, I do. I suppose I think you have to be obsessed to get anywhere in any sport, whether it's golf, cricket or soccer. You've got to be obsessed. I think a lot of top coaches are obsessed. But I mean, we've been using Instat for the last maybe 4 years, particularly around Europe time. We use it quite a lot. It now goes hand in hand in our league. So everybody in our league should be are using Instat, and I suppose it's just a matter of how you use Instat or Y Scout. There's so many different packages out there. So the fact we're able to watch a penalty from 6 years ago from one of the fullbacks, whether that helps you or not, I don't know, but it certainly keeps us informed. So that's the level of detail the game has gone to now, and as I said, it's the same in our own league. Everybody can see everyone else's statistics, and I suppose it's down to how well you use them. And statistics only give you questions; they don't give you any answers. So you've got to be careful how you take that information on board.
So obviously it's this momentous night and this emotional occasion, and you're walking off the pitch and you've just achieved something big for Dundalk this season, and then you look at your phone and Jose Mourinho's face is there. What happened?
Yeah, that was a strange one, because I think generally I would be sort of known, I think, as a private person, particularly, I suppose, while working under Stephen. I just felt a good assistant is sort of not seen. I used to ask people, who's the assistant manager, Manchester United or Chelsea or Man City at the time, and no one ever really knew the names. Some people did and didn't. I just believe that was the way an assistant should act. So then to be for this to happen, it actually happened in front of a couple of journalists. I think Paul O'Hare was there, and so I had to get out, and it's very open, and I think people have heard about it now. But what I found fascinating was Jose had watched the game, and he spoke about some of the tactical side of it. He spoke about the change we made with Murray. So it was it took my breath away. I didn't expect it. It definitely came out of the blue. I knew for a while he has been interested in what we're doing at Dundalk, and he has sent some texts and different bits and pieces before. So to get a phone call off him on a night like that, where unfortunately for me, it's very obvious. I was very emotional at the time, and a couple of the interviews, I never got a minute to calm myself down. So it was probably heard in my voice, and then to hear from someone like from Jose at that stage, probably, so it was very emotional, and it was a good moment, and it was one I'll probably never forget.
By the sounds of it then, if there's been a couple of texts over the last few months as well, maybe it won't be the last time. Maybe there'll be an opportunity for you to go and tap into that massive footballing brain.
Yeah, but to be fair, the game is like that now. I've had some, really good messages over the last 24 hours, and people like Damien Duff and Paddy McCarthy, who's at Crystal Palace, and Keith Andrews and Brian Kerr, and there's been hundreds of them. And the game's gone like that now. That there's a lot of shared information. There's a lot of people helping. Currently doing my pro license, and a lot of people on that course were very interested, and I would have presented to them last week what I was doing ahead of Europe. So they had a lot of interest, and so the world has got so much smaller now that people from communicating regularly with people like Jim McGuinness in the States, or as I said, Paddy McCarthy over Crystal Palace, that I do personally do a lot of outside of football. So I would have got a message from Joe Smith as well from the Irish camp, and I would have been in their camp a couple of times, just seeing what they do, and seeing what I can learn from it. So I do look outside of the game and into different sports. So I do believe, I think my own personal development, because I didn't play at the highest level, I do need to be out there. I do need to see other sort of sports and other coaches work and learn from them. And if the opportunity comes to even spend a couple of hours with Jose, I think I'd pull his hand off for that, you know.
Yeah, I guess you need to be humble enough and confident enough to actually pick up the phone and, you know, do you call Joe Schmidt when you want to go into the Irish camp?
Yeah, well, no, I don't. I wouldn't have a direct line to him. My first cousin is one of the head analysts there. He has been there for a number of years, and he went on the Lions tour as well as one of the analysts. So again, I would tap into him in terms of what he's doing, and I think rugby definitely leads the way in video analysts. You know, they lead the way in sort of world sport. So. You know, I've someone that operates at the highest level who's a first cousin, so I obviously tap into that. And the coaches like Andy Farrell I would have spoken to has been brilliant with me, and it's very small stuff. I'm not like there, you know, I'm not in regular contact or anything, but if I need anything or if they're doing a certain session and I ask a question on it, they would help me out. So very, very small stuff, but just a different insight into sport, and obviously they're operating at the highest level, and I think you can learn from everybody. Yeah,
it's a proper Irish connection, isn't it? I rang my cousin and he sorted it out.
Yeah, it's funny. He's another Vinny as well, which is quite ironic because people I get introduced to my cousin Vinny, so a lot of the lads find that funny from both sides. But yeah, it is a real Irish thing. That's the way it goes. But as I said to you, I done my A licence with Roberto Salgado, who I grew up a Real Madrid fan first and foremost for some strange reason, a kid from Tala, but you know, we still regularly text. So the world has just got smaller, and that's just the way it goes. That's just, you try and rob little bits of information from people, and you try and share as much as you can, and that's it. The Irish sort of rugby camp has been great for me personally, but I've done that with other sports. I'd have some contact in Leinster as well, rugby, and just a couple of GAA clubs that I do a little bit of stuff with. And it's just to think outside the box, and it mightn't be everyone's cup of tea, but it just pleases me, you know.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. We'd definitely, I think, love to get you in when things are quietening down a little bit over the next few months and have a bit more of a chat about your coaching style and your coaching philosophy. I'd say you got great joy over the last week or so in getting to send Stephen O'Donnell over to Azerbaijan. I guess at least you're going to make full use of his trip over to Karabakh.
Yeah, I think getting Stephen out there was hard work because he can be hard work at the best of times, and he was like, it's 9 hours.
5-star hotel.
Yeah, and I think it took him a good 9 hours to get out there. So, but no, Stephen has been brilliant for us, and you know, we did speak about continuity, and I think some people might have suppose the way the world has gone now, the cynics are out there that probably giggled at them at the start of the year. But what Stephen done was, he knew how we prepare for Europe. He knows what
you're looking for.
I would have done. He knows what Rory Higgins would have done before him. So it wasn't like we were training a new member of staff in to do it the Dundalk way. Stephen knew that, and the way he scouted Riga meant that the players were so well prepared for that game, and we were already prepared for the Karabakh, and he's, you know, He has us prepared. He has us ready for that. We've been sharing information today. We'll have a staff meeting in the morning, and then we'll head into training with the players on Saturday, and we're really well prepared. So, Stephen has been a massive tool for us in terms of his experience. He's been to a group stage Rugby League twice, so he knows what it takes on the pitch, and he certainly has shown what it takes off the pitch in terms of what he's brought to the management team. And
Karabakh obviously have a good pedigree. They drew with Atletico Madrid a couple of times in the Europa League 2 seasons ago. They've been within touching distance of the group stage of the Champions League on a number of occasions. Looking at this game and what's on offer if you can progress, and just how difficult it's going to be, you think back to the defeat to Larnaca last year, and I know you felt you learned a lot of lessons in that game about maybe pushing players too far and playing players who had niggly injuries. Do you feel that actually you can use that massively heading into this at such a busy time of the season, and with the squad depth that you have there, that maybe you can make better decisions in terms of what the team selection is and how you approach this?
Yeah, listen, I think the Larnaca result is, for me, it's overplayed because it was 45 minutes of a bit of madness from us over, and I won't let 45 minutes of football over a 6-7 year period taint what we've done in Europe. But we did learn lessons from Larnaca. I think this is up a level though. This side from Azerbaijan are up a level, Karabakh, and my initial thought is they're probably as good as any side we've ever played in Europe. I know we've played maybe the might of Zenit St. Petersburg, but the difference was with them that somebody like their left full was an Italian international, but he was 31. He was a player of real class, but he wasn't, a fullback who was going to be lightning quick, and he was going to get around us, and he was all, so our Witzel, who played in midfield for them, was in front of us, and it was nice and neat passing. But what Karabakh are is a really, really strong, athletic, technical side who will move the ball really, really quickly, and that's where teams like from England or Ireland in particular would struggle against really that type of style of play. So we have a real challenge on our hand, and they're a really top side, and we're going to have to be our very, very best. And as you said, we have rotated the squad this year, and Massey, left full for argument's sake, has played 19 games, and Jarvis has started 18 games. So that gives an advantage that if something goes wrong, we're ready, like Michael Duffy missing out in the game yesterday. So, but we're going to be pinned to our collar. We're going to have to go up another level, and we're going to have to be at our sort of very, very best to be in the tie. And the fact we're at home probably this time, normally it's the other way around, this time might help us because we want to be still in the tie going over to the away leg, and we'll put them under a little bit of pressure if we can score an away goal, and that's the way we have to be thinking.
Yeah, great stuff, Vinny. Enjoy the next couple of weeks, particularly that home leg at Oriel Park. I'm sure it's going to be a packed house, and another successful European adventure for Dundalk well underway. Good stuff.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the support. Thank you.